What if the way you've been having sex your entire life is actually the reason you lost intimacy in old age? Let me tell you about Harold. He was 72, kind, retired, recently divorced. He met someone new. They connected. But when the moment came, his body didn't respond. He panicked. She pulled away. And he never tried again. Not because he didn't want to, because he thought he was broken. I'm Dr. James, a men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience. I've helped thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond reclaim their confidence, restore intimacy, and protect their health in ways they never thought possible. Most men believe their sex life simply ends with age, but that's not the truth. What really holds them back is what they were never taught. Today, I'm going to reveal 5 powerful sex secrets older men wish they had known sooner, and the real price they paid for not knowing. Before we continue, if you find this kind of honest, life-changing health advice helpful, please subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss another message made just for men like you. And if this speaks to you, type 1 in the comments to let me know you're here. If not, type 0. I truly want to improve and serve you better. Now let's begin with the first truth, because this is the one that quietly breaks more hearts and confidence than any other. The myth that intimacy after 60 should still be spontaneous. Secret 1. You can't rely on spontaneity anymore. And that's not weakness, it's wisdom. When you were younger, intimacy could happen anywhere, anytime. Desire matched ability. You didn't have to think twice. You were ready. For many men, that spontaneity was part of what made it exciting. No planning, no pressure, just presence. But here's the truth no one ever told you. After 60, the rules change. Clinging to the belief that you should still perform on demand is not only unrealistic, it's dangerous. I've seen it too many times. Men walk into my office with their heads down, avoiding eye contact. They're not sick, they're not injured, but they're crushed. Crushed by one failed moment behind closed doors. They tried to be intimate. Their body didn't respond. And instead of understanding why, they blamed themselves. They felt ashamed. They felt broken. They stopped trying. Some withdrew from their partners. Others pretended nothing happened and carried the shame in silence. One man I'll never forget, Gerald. He was 69, healthy, recently dating again after years alone. Things were going well until one night became intimate. He hadn't prepared. He assumed everything would just work like it used to. But it didn't. His body failed him. He panicked. He pulled away. He never called her again. Not because he didn't care, but because he was humiliated. He told me later, "It felt like I lost a part of my manhood that night." This is the real cost of not understanding how intimacy changes with age. It's not just a bad night. It's a blow to your confidence, your identity, your emotional well-being, and sometimes it becomes the beginning of isolation. But hear me clearly. Losing spontaneity is not the same as losing intimacy. What worked at 30 was built on biology. What works at 70 must be built on intention, communication, and preparation. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Planning for intimacy doesn't kill the magic, it protects it. It sends a message to your body, to your partner, and to your heart that this moment matters. You reduce stress, you avoid harmful medications, you create space for emotional safety, and most importantly, you take the pressure off. Stop expecting your body to respond the way it did decades ago. Start embracing the process, not the performance, because the risk of ignoring this goes beyond emotional disappointment. It becomes physical danger. Some men suffer heart attacks, strokes, or drastic drops in blood pressure because they tried to recreate what their body can no longer support without preparation. Intimacy is exercise, and like any form of exercise, it requires respect. You don't climb a mountain without stretching first. So why enter the bedroom without care? The truth is this: sex after 60 isn't about proving anything. It's about preserving everything. Let go of outdated expectations, and you just might open the door to something more meaningful, more powerful, and more alive than you ever imagined. Secret 2. Erections are a window into your heart, health. Let me be honest with you. If you're over 60 and you've noticed changes in your ability to get or maintain an erection, you should be concerned. Not just because of what it means for your sex life, but because of what it could mean for your heart. Too many men see erectile dysfunction as just a bedroom issue, a minor inconvenience, something to joke about or quietly ignore. But what they don't realize, what they were never told, is this: an erection isn't just about sex. It's a cardiovascular event. One of the earliest, most sensitive indicators of blood flow problems in your entire body. I'll never forget David, 67, married, still active. He came in for a routine visit, mentioning things weren't quite the same in the bedroom. He laughed it off. Probably just getting older, right, Doc? But I didn't laugh. I listened. I asked questions. Something didn't sit right. I ordered a full cardiac workup. 3 weeks later, he was in surgery for a 90% blockage in his left anterior descending artery, the one they call the widowmaker. That night, David called me from his hospital bed. "Doc," he said, "I thought I had a sex problem. Turns out I had a time bomb in my chest." Here's what most men don't know. The arteries in the penis are smaller than the ones in the heart. That means they clog faster. So if blood isn't flowing properly down there, it's often a red flag that something more serious is already happening inside your body. Erectile dysfunction is often the first warning sign of cardiovascular disease. Your body isn't failing you. It's whispering to you, begging for help before something irreversible occurs. The cost of ignoring that signal? Devastating. I've seen men dismiss it, buy over-the-counter pills, or blame stress. All the while they're living with dangerously high blood pressure, clogged arteries, or undiagnosed diabetes. They don't realize it until it's too late, until the heart attack, the stroke, or the damage becomes permanent. But the emotional damage can be just as heavy. When a man begins to feel like his body is betraying him, it cuts deeper than most admit. It affects his confidence, his relationships, his very identity. He may avoid his partner. He may stop trying altogether. He may start to feel invisible, unworthy, alone. But here's the truth you need to hear. You have more control than you think. If you treat your erection as a signal, not a shame, you can catch problems early. You can reverse them. You can protect your heart. And yes, you can restore your sex life. This isn't just about performance. It's about survival. And once you address the real issue, blood flow, hormones, or even emotional stress, things often get better. I've had men in their 70s tell me they feel like they're 45 again. Not because of magic, because they listened, they acted, and they didn't wait until it was too late. Secret 3. Sex isn't just physical. It's emotional medicine. I want you to think back to a time when you felt deeply connected to someone, not just physically, but emotionally, when their touch made you feel seen, understood, alive. For many men, those moments become rare, especially as the years go on. But here's the truth. Intimacy after 60 isn't just about the body. It's about the heart, the mind, and the spirit. And when that emotional layer disappears, the damage runs far deeper than a lack of pleasure. I've sat across from men in their 70s, strong men, men who built businesses, families, legacies, and still, their voices tremble when they say, "I haven't felt close to anyone in years, not just sexually, emotionally." They weren't starving for sex. They were starving for closeness, for human warmth, for someone to touch their hand and mean it. That unmet longing slowly erodes mental and physical health in ways most doctors never mention. I remember Martin, 74, widowed, 5 years without intimacy. Not just physically, but emotionally shut down. He said, "What's the point at this age?" But I saw it in his eyes. He missed connection. He missed the laughter, the warmth, the touch. Over time, that emotional distance became depression, insomnia, and a blood pressure no medication could fix. What Martin didn't know, and what most men never hear, is this: intimacy is emotional medicine. Touch, affection, even self-connection release powerful chemicals: oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. These aren't just feel-good hormones. They reduce stress, improve sleep, boost immunity, and protect your heart. When you lose intimacy, you lose one of the most healing forces your body has access to. Yet so many men shut it down. They convince themselves connection is for the young, that needing affection is weakness, that vulnerability should be hidden. So they go silent. They avoid closeness. Even when it's offered, they bury their need. But here's what that silence costs them: higher cortisol, weaker immunity, elevated blood pressure, and in many cases, cognitive decline. Yes, I've seen men age 10 years in half the time simply because they had no one to hold, to talk to share life with. They lived, but they didn't feel alive. And no, this isn't just about relationships. Some men live alone, but have rich emotional intimacy through friends, conversation, and self-respect. Others are married, but haven't truly connected with their partner in decades. The truth? Without emotional closeness, you're running on empty. So, if you've lost interest in touch, if you've told yourself affection doesn't matter anymore, you may be slipping into emotional starvation. And it's costing you far more than you know. But it's not too late. It never is. Connection can begin with one courageous act: a conversation, a hand held, a truth spoken. And if you're wondering whether that kind of intimacy can still bring peace, pleasure, and purpose in your later years, let me tell you from experience, it absolutely can. In fact, real intimacy often begins after youth has passed, when masks fall away and only truth remains. Secret 4. Porn and unrealistic expectations are quietly killing senior confidence. This one's hard to say, but it needs to be said, because while most men stay silent, nearly all of them experience it. It's what they turn to when they're lonely, curious, or just trying to feel something again. It's fast, it's private, and it's easy. I'm talking about pornography. And while it might seem harmless, especially in older age, it's quietly become one of the most devastating destroyers of male confidence and real intimacy I've seen. In over 30 years of working with men, I've noticed a heartbreaking pattern. As the body changes, arousal slows, recovery takes longer, and performance becomes unpredictable, many men retreat. Not toward their partners, but toward a screen. They stop asking for affection. They stop trying. They sit alone, watching strangers, convincing themselves it's normal, even necessary. But what they don't realize is that what they're watching is rewiring how they feel, how they think, and what they expect. I remember Walter. He was 71, a proud retired Navy officer. He hadn't touched his wife in 4 years. He told me, "We just drifted apart." But the truth came out later. Walter had developed a daily habit, watching adult content. What started as an occasional escape became a full replacement for intimacy. Over time, he stopped finding joy in his wife's body, her pace, her voice. Reality no longer measured up to the hyper-perfected fantasy his brain had come to rely on. Eventually, he stopped reaching for her. She stopped reaching back, and the silence between them became permanent. This is the quiet cost of porn at an older age. Not just what you see, but what you stop feeling. Your brain adapts to artificial stimulation, perfect bodies, endless novelty, zero emotion. Suddenly, the warmth of real human connection feels dull, even irritating. Your body follows. Dopamine shifts. Arousal becomes harder. Some men can't climax without a screen. Others feel nothing at all. And the most damaging part? What happens inside? Confidence erodes, connection fades, shame creeps in. And after the screen goes black, there's only silence, a quiet question. What's wrong with me? You think you've changed, that maybe this is just aging, but deep down, you know it's not. You've just fed your brain something fake for so long, it's forgotten how to respond to what's real. I've seen marriages fall apart, not from cheating, not from illness, but from digital disconnection. Men grow distant from their own bodies. They no longer trust themselves to feel without external stimulation. They spiral into guilt, secrecy, and silence, convinced they're alone. But you are not alone, and there is a way back. It starts with truth, with understanding. Because what you consume when no one's watching doesn't just affect your arousal. It reshapes your expectations. It teaches your mind to crave constant novelty, instant pleasure, and zero effort. But real intimacy isn't any of those things. Real intimacy is patient, it's emotional, it's grounded in presence and trust. And yes, it takes more time. But what it gives back is so much more. Letting go of porn, especially after years, isn't easy. It requires honesty, support, and often help. But on the other side, a return to natural desire, a deeper bond with your partner, a confidence that's rooted not in performance, but in presence. If you've been living in that quiet disconnect, I invite you to pause. Ask yourself, am I still capable of feeling something real? The answer is yes, but it's something you must choose, again and again. And up next, we'll talk about a secret that can destroy everything in an instant if you're not careful. A single mistake made by men trying to prove they still have it, that's cost lives, and you need to hear it. Secret 5. The most dangerous time to have sex is when you're trying to prove something. There's a moment that creeps up on many older men. It feels innocent, even empowering. You get a good doctor's report, an old friend says, "You've still got it." Or someone new comes into your life, stirring something inside you thought was long gone. In that moment, you feel alive again, energized, maybe even invincible. But that's also when danger strikes, because in that rush of pride and possibility, many men make the same mistake. They try to prove it, prove they're still strong, still capable, still desirable. And so they push, too hard, too fast. No pacing, no preparation, just whine, bravado, and a moment that feels like a comeback. But what's really happening? Your heart is straining, your blood pressure is rising, your breathing becomes shallow, and your body, which needed care and readiness, is being thrown into a situation it isn't prepared for. I'll never forget Leonard. He was 74, charming, funny, just started dating a younger woman. He came to me and joked, "Doc, I've got to keep up." I warned him, sex at this stage is like a workout. It's not just pleasure, it's exertion. His heart needed time to adjust. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, I know my limits." 2 weeks later, he collapsed in a hotel room, cardiac arrest. His date called for help, but by the time paramedics arrived, it was too late. Leonard wasn't reckless. He was proud. He wanted to feel young again, wanted to show he still had it. But aging demands respect, not resistance. And the price of ignoring that can be fatal. Because sex after 60 isn't just about arousal, it's a full-body event. Your heart rate spikes, your blood vessels dilate, your breathing deepens. It's not a walk in the park, it's a climb. And for some men, that climb becomes a cliff. I've spoken to widows who said their husbands died doing what they loved. But behind those smiles is a grief far deeper. Because those deaths, they weren't peaceful, they were preventable. The mistake wasn't in the desire, it was in the ego. Men who ignore their body's whispers, who treat their partners like an audience instead of companions, who think slowing down is failure, they risk everything. But here's the truth. You don't need to prove anything. You've lived, loved, endured. Your value isn't measured by stamina or speed, but by presence, trust, and care. Slowing down isn't giving up, it's staying alive. Pacing yourself isn't weakness, it's wisdom. So if that moment comes, and it will, when you feel the need to show what you've got, pause. Ask yourself, is this about love, or is it about fear? Is this about connection or control? Because what you choose in that moment will shape the years ahead. You can choose pressure and risk everything, or you can choose presence and create something far more lasting than a performance. And yes, this one should scare you, because this isn't just about sex. It's about staying alive long enough to enjoy the life you've built. Conclusion: what you know now can save you. By now, you've heard the 5 truths. Truths that thousands of older men wish they had learned earlier. These aren't tips, they're turning points. Quiet, often overlooked wisdom that separates men who age with strength, intimacy, and peace from those who slowly disconnect, from their partners, their confidence, and, worst of all, themselves. If there's one thing I've seen over 3 decades in medicine, it's that the hardest part of aging isn't physical decline. It's the silent erosion of being unseen. Men walk into my office thinking they're the only one, ashamed, afraid, believing the changes in their body mean they've failed. But here's the truth. Your body hasn't betrayed you. It's simply evolved. And like all change, it demands compassion, not shame. Let's take a breath and look back at what you now know. First, the myth of spontaneity. Thinking sex should still just happen, like it did at 25, sets you up for frustration, failure, and in some cases, real harm. Intimacy at this age must be intentional. That's not weakness, that's maturity. Second, your erection is a window into your heart health. If blood flow slows down there, it could mean it's slowing elsewhere too. Ignoring that sign is not just risky, it can be deadly. Third, we uncovered the emotional power of intimacy, not just sex, connection, warmth, vulnerability. When men deny themselves that, they don't just feel lonely, they begin to wither. Fourth, Porn doesn't just distort pleasure, it distorts reality. It dulls your ability to feel, to connect, to be present. And for many men, it silently rewires their brains to reject what is real in favor of what is hollow. Fifth, the most dangerous moment isn't when you feel weak, it's when you feel invincible. Pushing too hard, too fast, to prove something has cost men their marriages, their health, and in some tragic cases, their lives. But now that you know, you're not powerless. You're in control. This knowledge puts you in a position of strength. You don't have to accept the slow fade. You don't have to surrender your confidence, your intimacy, or your sense of being fully alive. What you do have to do is choose. Choose to talk to your doctor. Choose to talk to your partner. Choose to slow down. Choose to reconnect. You are not too old. You are not too late. And you are not done. There is still connection, still joy, still intimacy waiting for you, if you reach for it. So if anything in this video stirred something in you, a thought, a fear, a little spark of hope, type 1 in the comments and let me know you're still here. And if you haven't already, subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss the next message made just for you. Because you deserve truth, support, and a new chapter filled with strength, wisdom, and heart.